This project appears broken, but the CSS itself is correct. This is the exact issue. Once I shift this, the project transforms into a beautiful, ready website. This is something that trips most people up, but after watching this video, you will never be confused by CSS styles again. We are going to learn about how this order matters, we are going to learn about external CSS, and we are going to wrap up any issues that you might ever have while using external CSS. Stay with me to find out how. So, what exactly is external CSS? Well, we have learned that there are three methods to write our CSS code. The first is inline CSS, where we directly write our CSS inside the style attribute. The second one is internal CSS, where we use a style tag. And the third one is external CSS, where we use a completely separate CSS file to write our code. This allows us to keep our code more manageable, as we don't have a huge HTML file with all the CSS code crammed inside of it. Instead, we have a simple .css file that we can just drop into any web page, and this is going to be styled automatically. So the way it works is that we are going to begin by creating a .css file. Maybe we can call that style.css. Inside of it, we don't need to declare any style tag. Since we are already inside a CSS file, we don't need to specify once more that we are going to write CSS. We can simply start by writing our rules. As an example, we might be targeting an element with a class of text red. Like we have learned already, we are going to type dot to target a class, then text dash red, curly bracket open, curly bracket close. Inside of it, we are going to place color red. And this would allow us to specify a class called text-red that we can drop into any HTML page, and that would allow us to style any element by giving it a class. But how do we drop it inside an HTML file? Well, the way to do it is that we are going to use another tag. HTML is all tags. We're just going to use tags for anything that we do. And the tag that we're going to use is link. There are two things that we need to pass inside of it. The first one is called rel, where we need to specify what exactly are we linking to, and most of the time we are going to keep that as style sheet or CSS. Style sheet basically means that we need to link a CSS file. Next, we are going to add our src attribute, and then we are going to write the name of our CSS file. Since we have created a CSS file called style.css, we are going to write the name as style.css, tag close, and now we don't need to put a closing tag here. This is something called a self-closing tag, which doesn't require a closing tag. We just need to close the bracket and it would be closed automatically by the browser. And this would import all the style from style.css into our HTML file. So let's see that in practice. I am going to open VS Code and we are going to try that out into an actual project. I have opened a folder in VS Code. I am going to close that window, close that over there. And now we are going to create a first file and call that index.html. Here I am going to generate a structure, rename that to external CSS, and here I am going to add an h1 and also call that external CSS. And now we are going to click go live. And there we go. Our page is open, but we haven't added a restyling yet, so let's add that. I am going to right click new file and call that style.css. And this is where we're going to write our CSS. So I am going to begin by adding a new class, call that text-red, And as you might have guessed, we are going to change the color of the element to red in there. Now let's go back. I am going to add a p tag, and inside of it we are going to write make this text red. Let's save that. A style still hasn't been applied because we haven't added a class yet. So I am going to go back, add a class attribute, and name that text dash red. And this still haven't been applied because we haven't linked this style.css file by using the link tag. So in order to do so, as we have learned already, I am going to open by adding a link tag. We are going to add rel, which would be style sheet, and then I am oops, we need to add href, not src. Apologies for that. And there we are going to add style.css. I am going to save now. Let's go back, and a style has been applied successfully. Let's add another class. I am going to call that text dash blue, and here I am going to add another class called blue. And here let me just show you a shortcut. Instead of writing p and then going back and adding a class, we can simply write p dot and the name of our class, which is text dash blue, and once we press enter or tab, this is going to be generated automatically. So let me demonstrate that once more. We are going to write the name of our tag, which is p currently, then dot to specify that we need to select a class. Now I am going to write the name of my class, and a complete tag with the class attribute will be generated automatically. I am going to go back and add the text is blue, and now this text is rendered blue. And we can do something interesting with that. I can rename that to something like colors.css, and that would be our own CSS library that we can drop into any HTML file, and we would be able to reuse all of our colors that we have defined here. So now by taking advantage of that, I am going to create another file, name that style.css, and here I am going to write the styles for my page. Now we have two files, one that holds all the colors and one that's going to hold the essential style for our page. As an example, I am going to go to H1 and then I am going to use a new property called font size, and I am going to increase the font size to something like 36 pixels. Our heading is now made bigger. We are also going to use another attribute called font family. We haven't discussed that yet, but that simply changes the style of our font. We don't have enter in there. I am going to go with Courier New, and this gives us a really clean and beautiful looking heading. We are going to continue by adding the rest of our styles. I am going to add body, font size 16 pixel, font family, and there I am going to use a more simpler font like Systems UI. This is a lot bigger rule, but if you are typing in VS Code, that would be auto completed for you, and you can just select Systems UI, save, and this would give us a really clean and professional looking font. So let's go back, and as you can see, our font is now looking much nicer and much more professional. And let's go back, and we haven't even added a colors.css yet, so I am going to add my colors.css. We can simply write rel and press tab to autocomplete all of that, colors.css, and all these styles from both my style.css and colors.css have been successfully applied. Now let's go forward. I just want to make this text dash blue slightly less blue, just for this heading. I want to give the same class to this heading, text dash blue, or maybe just change the color of this p tag, but I want to make this text dash blue just slightly lighter. At the moment it appears too dark, I want to make that slightly lighter. So I am going to go back to my style.css. I shall specify text dash blue here again, and here I am going to go with something like light blue. Save, and even if I go back, this hasn't changed at all. I am going to remove that just to showcase. You can see that nothing has changed. I am going to add that back, and still our style hasn't changed. Our font is successfully styled, therefore we note that this file is included. But even though I am specifying .text-blue class, the color isn't being changed. So why exactly is that happening? So let me just correct that. Apologies once more. We are going to correct that to href instead. And now in CSS there's something called layout order. Basically, if I give you an example, consider that we have this style.css and then I have another file. Let's call that something like basic colors.css, and this also contains a text-red class, and this one has color light red or maybe color pink. Now which one of these is going to be applied? If we take a p tag and give it a class of text-red, is it going to be red like this, or is it going to be light red from here? Well, this depends on HTML. If we have specified our style tags like this, I am just going to copy paste that to create a basic colors.css as well. And if we have specified our links tags like this, this is going to give us a color of light red. But if I change that and put style.css at the end, this is going to give us a color of red. In CSS, whether that's inline CSS, whether it's internal CSS, or whether it's external CSS, the order of the rules is going to determine the actual style which is going to be applied. If I use link for style.css first, this is going to apply the color from style.css first, and once basic dash colors is loaded, it's going to override the previous colors. But if I replace that and apply style.css later, this is going to apply the color of red. And this might not seem much right now, but this is going to be something that you would be debugging almost every day in your front-end career. This is a small part of specificity, something that CSS is going to give you a lot of times, specificity, and this isn't actually related, but this is going to be a great part of your CSS debugging. So let's go back. I'm going to go back to VS Code now, and let's go to our index.html and place style.css later in the. Let's click go live, and now our text dash blue has been successfully replaced with light blue text. And this matters because if you have a library, you made your own library that contains all of the colors and styles that you use, and for one specific website you want to one of those styles, you would be able to change it simply by including the CSS of that specific website after your own library. But if you include your library at the end, you would not be able to override your own styles by any specific styles for that website. And this is going to matter a lot more once we start learning about boot. So that's pretty much it. I am now going to remove both links, delete both of our files, and we are going to create them from scratch once more. Let's save that. And back to our website, all our styles have been removed. I am going to begin by creating a new folder and call that CSS. This is not necessary, but that would allow us to arrange our project much better. Inside of it, I am going to create a first file and call that colors.css. And this is going to be our reusable library where we're going to keep all our colors. So maybe something like text-red, color red, and text-blue, you guessed it, color blue. Save that. And if we go back, nothing has happened yet, but we need to still add our link tag. Link href equals to css slash colors.css. We cannot reference css directly since it's inside our css folder. Therefore, we are going to write css slash colors.css. Let's go back, and our colors have been successfully applied. Now I am going to create another file, call that style.css, and inside of it I am going to apply similar styling. Let's begin by adding body. Here I am going to add a font size of 16 pixel. Not body, I am going to add root. And basically we are going to reuse the rem unit that we have learned about previously. I am going to go back to h1 and we are going to set its font size to 3 rem. Let's go back, and its size has been increased to 36 pixel. Our root size is 16 pixel. We multiply it to 3 rem. Therefore, it's going to change to 36 pixels. Next, we have our p tag, font size 1 rem. We can also skip that and it would be applied automatically, but for now I am going to specify that manually. Now back to our h1, we are going to change our font family. I am going to go with Courier New, and none of it is being applied yet because we haven't referenced our style.css file. You should be able to guess by now. Back to link css slash style.css. Let's save, and there we go. Our heading is successfully styled. Our paragraphs have also been styled. They are slightly bigger now, but there is such a negligible difference that we cannot see it directly. So let's go back. I am going to add a font family again, and this is my favorite one, so I am going to add that once more. Feel free to experiment with others and find something you like. And finally I am going to go with this one now, dot text dash red, color red, and I am going to overwrite that by a nice light red. Save, go back, and it's not even visible. Let's pick something a little more orange. Let's go back, and now we are able to see the difference. So that's it. We have created our own website with our styling and our very own CSS library that we can drop into any HTML page to apply different colors automatically without having to write the CSS once more. So now go to your VS Code, try that out, and if you run into any issues, let me know in the comments.